Shalom to you all. When I started this series of how does Judaism view intimacy between husband and wife, my plan was to do only 3 classes and to speak about the general view in the book of Bereshit and part also in our sages. How does Judaism see intercourse, the intimate physical connection between husband and wife? And we saw that generally speaking, when it's done in the appropriate way, so Judaism sees it as something important, holy, and positive. After giving the 3 classes, which, as I mentioned, I also mentioned in my book in the beginning, you can find it on Amazon, learn much more about marriage and love, how to increase love, how to make a marriage much better. I realized that I'm lacking a few things. And we need not just to talk about how does Judaism view it, positive or negative, but also did learn a few more things into details and go into questions which are much more relevant or maybe practical to us, not just the general idea of is it good or bad to be together. So I decided to add a few more classes and I hope you enjoy them and you're welcome to share them and share also insights with me and share the classes with friends. It's not fair that only you get the insights shared with friends. And we will discuss a few questions, one in this class and another one in the next class, and then we'll see if we have more classes. The question we will discuss in this class is, how does Judaism view showing love in public? I'm not talking about having relations, I'm not talking about hugging, kissing, touching each other in public. Okay, can a husband and wife, can they walk hand with hand? Can they hug each other? Can they kiss each other in the street or in the house when the kids see them? How does Judaism view that? And it's based on what we learned in the previous 3 classes, that Judaism sees the connection between husband and wife as something very, very holy. And something which is very holy, it's important, and we should do it. But we should also keep it pure as also holy. One of the great rabbis, the Shla, learns about how important it is for husband and wife to be together from the holiest place the Jewish nation has. The Ark in the holiest of holiest in the temple of Beit HaMikdash in Jerusalem. And above the Ark there were 2 angels, and our sages tell us that the angels looked like man and woman, like husband and wife. And the angels had those like wings going out in front of each other, and as if like they were hugging each other. And this brought like a question: how could it be, if you think more maybe in a Christian way, how could it be that in the holiest place you have 2 angels, man and woman, touching each other, hugging each other? That's what we have in the holiest place. And the answer is, in the Jewish perspective, yes, husband and wife could also mean us and God, but also husband and wife is a very holy thing. And being together is being part of the creation of God, being part of the creation of Hashem, and bringing holiness into this world, into the physical world, by being together in a holy way. So yes, husband and wife together is something very holy, very important. From the Ark, from the Aron HaKodesh and the keruvim above it, we learn another thing. They were hidden. The keruvim were hidden. Only once a year or twice a year, only in one day a year, the Kohen Gadol used to come in. And only a few times a year, they used to open the Kodesh HaKodashim, the holiest place, so everyone can see what's inside, but otherwise it was closed. It was intimate. It was hidden from other people. Part of the positive way Judaism looks at the connection between husband and wife, part of that is things should be hidden from other people's eye. Something holy is something private. There's a story in the Gemara about a rabbi called Rabbi Bana'a. Rabbi Bana'a. Bana'a means also like building. He's not mentioned so many times in the Gemara. And one of the things he used to do is go and mark graves. Why does a rabbi need to mark graves? A Kohen isn't allowed to walk on a grave, so Rabbi Bana used to make sure that all the graves are known, people know where they are, and a Kohen shouldn't walk above graves. Bana could also teach us of building. It's not just marking the graves, it's building a spiritual level in the nation. Rabbi Bana goes one day, and the Gemara tells an interesting story. He goes by Hebron, by the cave of Hebron, marital, the cave of the Machpelah, where Abraham and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka, Yaakov and Leah, where they are all buried. And according to the story, and we have to understand what the story is, but we won't go into it now, we just want to learn one thing from the story. He goes into the caves, and he sees Eliezer, Abraham's servant, at the entrance of the cave. And he wants to measure it. He wants to see how big the cave is so he can mark the cave above. So Rabbi Bana comes and he sees Eliezer, and Eliezer is Abraham's servant, and Rabbi Bana asks Eliezer, what's happening inside? And he describes them like in an intimate place. Abraham and Sarah are lying down, they're hugged into each other, hugging each other. And Sarah looks at Abraham's hair, like something very lovely. They're intimate together. They have the privacy, and they can touch each other and hug each other. And we won't go into the meaning of the hair and being in the arms of each other, because that's not the topic of our class, but just to remind ourselves that Rabbi Bana lived many, many, many years after Abraham and Sarah passed away. So obviously there's something spiritual here that our sages are trying to teach us. However, Rabbi Bana tells the servant, go and tell them that I'm here. I want to go in to measure the cave, and it's not fitting that I come into the cave when they are touching each other, when they're lying in each other's arms. And Rabbi Bana gets the answer. Eliezer gives him the answer. They're in the Olam Haba. They're in the world of spirituality. In the world of spirituality, you can come in. It doesn't bother them. It doesn't bother them. You can come in. There's no problem. You can come into the cave. So Rabbi Bana goes into the cave, measure it, and that's the end of the story for what we need. From here, learns one of the great rabbis, Nimukei Yosef, that in the world to come, we can show love between husband and wife, and in public, and people can see it, and there's no problem. That's in the world to come. In our world, that should be kept to private. And that's the halacha we bring, that a person shouldn't be with his wife, even not having relations, just not hug his wife, don't kiss his wife in public. In the room, it's great. Not in public, exactly like Rabbi Bana, the rabbi, he wanted to tell Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, tell them I'm here, so they should be careful. I'm here. Other people shouldn't see them when they're with each other. The intimacy is theirs, not mine. That's idea is brought into halacha, that a man and woman, husband and wife, should be careful not to show their love, their affect to each other when they are in public. A question comes from it, what about the home? What about inside the house or next to kids? What can kids see? And a few rabbis, and since it's a long topic, I won't go into all of the names, but a few rabbis say there's also something educational in children seeing the love between the parents. Children shouldn't be exposed just to arguments. They should also see when the husband praises his wife and when the wife praises her husband. They should see also the closeness between husband and wife, between mommy and daddy. But still, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate? And I think a guideline which we could give is things that a parent would do to the child are also fine if it's between the parents. Things that the parents would not do to the child, that's not appropriate to do in front of a child. If a parent will give a hug to the child, so they can also give hugs to each other in front of the children. It's a part of the family. They should see the love and connection between the mommy and daddy, between Abba and Ima. But things which the parents wouldn't do to the kids, they should also refrain from inside the house and keep that for themselves. So if you want to summarize what we learned here, we learned from Rabbi Bana'a, we learned from the angels, from the keruvim and Kodesh HaKodashim, that intimacy should be intimate. Tzniut should be, but tzniut, hidden. It's positive, it's very important to have the physical connection, but it's private between the husband and wife. When we expose it to other people, we lose some of the intimacy, we lose some of the connection, some of the holiness of this physical connection. And therefore it should be in private. Between family, next to the children, we can be a bit more lenient and educate the kids, but also that to a certain amount of have borders. Not everything is fine, not everything is permitted. And mainly, not everything keeps us in the spiritual level of being, on one hand, in this world, in this physical world. On the other hand, we have our mind, we have our neshama, we have our soul up in heaven. And that's what we are actually trying to do in this world. Connecting between those worlds, connecting between the world of spirituality and the world of the physical world with all the desires. And those borders we have, they keep us in this world of connection. They help our marriage to be not just a marriage of desires or emotions. It helps our marriage to be a marriage of holiness. And when we have in the marriage of holiness, so each one of us can be in Kodesh HaKodashim, in the holiest place for the Jewish nation. Each couple is like an ark. Each couple is like the keruvim. And that's something which we really want to try and reach. Have success.